Let's also listen in to Pawan Goenka of M&M. My colleague Karunya Rao caught up with him in an exclusive chat.
I think from where we are today, where Mahindra is today, we probably need to find another 10%, 15% price reduction. That means cost reduction of that nature. Okay? Second is, how do we increase the range from 130, 140 kilometers to 170, 180 kilometers. People talk about 300, 350 kilometers, that's fine. But I think if we can get to 170, 180 kilometers, that will be a good range for most shared mobility application. So that's the second challenge, and these two go opposite, because increasing range means increasing cost, but I have to reduce cost. And third one is to make sort of the overall maintenance of these vehicles less expensive than what it is today, so that they become affordable on a life cycle basis. So that's what we need to do. What the government of India needs to do is facilitate the charging infrastructure so that the range anxiety goes away to some extent, and also to be an enabler through states facilitating use of electric vehicles. Okay? That's what they need to do. But I think one of the biggest role in the electric vehicle story has to be played by service providers. Because I believe electric vehicles will not take off in India as personal mobility. They will take off as public mobility, shared fleet, corporate, and so on and so forth. And for that, the mobility service providers have to come forward and believe in electric vehicles, do pilots. There will be hiccups, there will be growing pains in the beginning. There will be learning curve. But I think if they put their sort of mind to it, it can happen. And to some extent, perhaps the OEMs need to go beyond just providing vehicles to providing service. And in fact, after listening to everything for 2 days, I'm seriously thinking whether Mahindra should be doing more in terms of providing mobility as a service rather than just providing vehicles.
You clearly have, Dr. Goenka, the first mover's advantage when it comes to electric mobility in India. How are you leveraging that to become one of the top players within this space, especially, and gain more traction and also bring on board very cutting-edge technology?
So there is no difference in technology of batteries. Where we will probably need to do a little bit more work than what we have today is on motors, electric motors, where perhaps we need to get to the next level of technology, which we are in the process of doing right now. So that we are working on. And then the whole power electronics that goes into the vehicle, that's pretty much roughly where everybody will be. Where we have taken a view, and I think that's the right view for India, is that we are not designing vehicles that run 300 kilometers on a charge. We are designing vehicles right now that run 150 kilometers. We would like to go to 170, 180 kilometers, but not losing sight of the fact that we need to keep our vehicles, in fact, less costly than what it is today and reduce the price by 10 to 15% to make it affordable. So technology-wise, I don't see any issue. Where I see issue right now is it's a chicken and egg situation. We have a plant with 500 vehicle capacity. Right now we're selling 100, 150. It's very difficult for me to justify investing in 5,000, though we are investing. But we need to start seeing a little bit of more volume. Once volume comes, everything falls in place. Suppliers will take us more seriously. The supplier cost will come down, our prices will come down, volumes will go up, and the virtuous cycle gets started. And that's what we need to focus on and we're working on.
How soon can we expect vehicles like KUV or even the S201? Can we expect an EV version of that, or any of your other models that you're working on?
We have two vehicles coming up, the EKUV, which will be rolled in about April of this year, and S201, which will be rolled about a year since then, about April of 2020. So these are the two models that we're working on.
And how much of a pickup do you see in the near term for EVs in terms of demand? Will it, say by 2020, it's still a very early period, but what is the kind of demand uptick for the industry or for Mahindra that you're targeting?
So before I answer that question, we also need to focus on three-wheeler. I think in India, three-wheelers will perhaps get the highest or fastest pickup, and the Trio that we have displayed here, which we are launching formally in October, we see quite a bit of demand and affordability coming in three-wheeler, because affordability for three-wheeler for commercial application, I think, will even be better than it is for four-wheeler. And we are very hopeful that not just for Mahindra, but for the whole industry, three-wheeler will provide a tremendous opportunity for electrification. Coming back to your question, see, what I would like to see as the demand for four-wheelers, about 500 vehicles steady per month by end of this quarter, by end of this financial year, and then move up to about 1,000 in a year and 2,000 in another year for Mahindra. So if we get to 2,000 a month by 2021, that's reasonably good economy of scale. And if I assume, just for the purpose of talking, that we have 1/4 of the market, I don't know whether it will be 1/4, 1/3, 1/2, I don't know that, but let's say 1/4. Then that means India needs to be at about 8,000, 10,000 per month, about 2021 or so.
As an OEM player, were you expecting any announcements? And talking about announcements and incentives, do you think, for how long do you think are they likely to help the industry actually get a booster? At some point, you all have to be sustainable on your own as well.
Yes, we would like to see a policy come out very clearly so that we know where to put our investment, where to put our emphasis on. And a policy should be for 5 year, not 1 year, 2 year kind of policies, because it's